Good Wednesday morning, Market Chameleons and everyone joining us for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the Market Chameleon pre-market show with this man, Dimitri Pargamonic, bringing you everything Market Chameleon related. Good to see you this morning, buddy.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
You want to start with a disclaimer?
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Before we get started, keep in mind, Will and I and Market Chameleon, we're not a registered investment advisor. We're not a broker dealer. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need advice, call your registered investment advisor, call your broker. That's what they're there for.
All righty.
Let me share my screen. And quick note, if you're joining us for the first time, Will and I, we do this show in the morning to try to help answer questions you may have about the Market Chameleon tools, the data, or the analytics. If you have a question, you could type it into the live chat on YouTube. If you want to come on the show and ask your question live, we also provide a link to Zoom that you could click on, takes you over to Zoom. Click on the button, raise your hand once you're logged in. That lets us know you have a question. Once we let you in, you could ask your question live. To give you guys a couple minutes to type in the questions, we'll start out taking a look at the pre-market report to see if we could get insights on what's trading in pre-market hours. And then we'll move on to the questions. Okay, so the pre-market report, these are stocks trading in the pre-market hours. I'm going to come down here. We have a list of our most active stocks, our biggest percentage gainers, biggest percentage decliners. I'm going to come down here. I do see 117 stocks made our percentage gainers list, 50 on our decliners. So from that perspective, it looks like the trading in the pre-market hours has some bullish sentiment. So let's take a look at it from another perspective. I'm going to come up here, and this is a calendar view, and this goes back dates in time. If you click on it, you could see the pre-market activity for that particular date. Right now, we're on October 18th, and this is what's going on in the pre-market hours from a high level. So we got 311 stocks trading higher versus 352 stocks trading lower in the pre-market hours. As far as volume of shares, we got 212 million shares trading on up volume versus 50.4 million on down volume. And if we convert those shares to dollar value, $631 million worth of stock trading higher versus 2.1 billion trading lower. So this is a little bit of a different signal showing that number of stocks versus the dollar value of the stocks, more trading on the bearish side of things. Let's look from one more perspective. We'll move on to the questions after that. If we scroll down here, we see that on this list of stocks, we have small cap stocks. They are the market caps here. We have ETFs in there, leverage products. It could be an inverse ETF, regular ETF. So any security that's listed on a major U.S. exchange, if it's trading in the pre-market hours and meets our thresholds for liquidity, volume, price change, it could make this list. So to narrow down this list to a smaller group of stocks, we could use the filters here up top. If you have a watch list, you could filter by your watch list. I'm going to use this filter in ETF. For this example, when you click on it, get a drop-down menu, different ETFs to select from. We're going to use this one, SPY, that's S&P 500 ETF. When we click on that, the list below will get reloaded and filtered by stocks that are holdings in the SPY ETF. And here we could see that 32 stocks made our percentage gainers list, 10 on the decliners. So from that perspective, also there's some, like a bullish sentiment in the pre-market. You could see some stocks, I guess, reporting earnings, but it looks like banks are up over here. Maybe energy, but you could see here that 32 stocks made our percentage gainers list, 10 on our decliners. So really mixed signals, depending how you're looking at it from what angle. But that's so far what's going on in the pre-market. If you have a question, I'll take the question now.
We did have a question that popped up from Jackie. He said, in idea dashboard section, there are two searches: unusual trade size and undervalued call stock beaten up. Can you ask Dimitri how to combine these two searches into one search? I guess, is there a way to use them together or look at them together potentially?
I mean, I think that has to deal more with like a feature request than a question. I mean, I could take a look at it, but that sounds to me more like a feature request. No.
His question is, can you ask Dimitri how to combine these two searches into one search? Obviously there's no way to combine them. It's not like you can go to a screener and screen unusual trade size and undervalued.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Right. I'm not sure if I can do. Maybe if he sends me an example. Send me an example. I don't know off the top of my head how to answer that. If you could show me an example, like maybe a screenshot, I'll take a look at it. Unless you want to come on a show and show me what you're looking at, but I'm not sure where to look.
Yeah, Jack, if you want to come on, the links in the chat up at the top. You can come on over and walk Dimitri through where you're looking, or send a screenshot. We can look at it tomorrow either way. But that was the one question that popped up.
Okay. So what we could do here, while I'm on here, maybe, we don't talk about these features that much, but if you click on it, oops, you know what? Hold on. Didn't mean to. So I guess we could go back to what we were talking about yesterday. What do we end up in SPY? I know I was using SPY as a usually my default. Maybe we'll go to this price action. We're talking about the price action activity.
Mm-hmm.
So over here we see right now what's going on. And of course, this is just an SPY. So a lot of trading goes in SPY. But right now we're in a pre-market session, and this is from a high level what's going on in a pre-market in just SPY. So let's say, the VWAP price. So we see here, this is the volume weighted average price, $434.39, and a total in dollar value, $318 million worth of stock trading. So far we're still not done. We're still in the pre-market hours, but you could see that it's not, as far as dollar value, in the last 30 days, we have $766 million on average traded per day in a pre-market session. So that's like 40%. And the stock has been drifting a little bit lower since that pre-market VWAP. So we could go maybe just click on that pre-market and look at the VWAP charts. And this will kind of give us a little bit of a view of up here. This is the chart just in the pre-market, how the stock has moved. And this breaks down the volume into buckets based on, where the concentration of the trades were around what prices, right? So these volume bars kind of let us know, the range that the stock traded in and the volume of the trades in each, price range bucket. So here we could see, if I could just hover over this, it lets us know that because that's the biggest bar, that the bulk of the trades were around 434.24, 434.39, which gives us, an indication where where, a lot of, I guess that would be like an inflection point, could say, right? Where a lot traded, what did the stock do and how much, is it thinning out? So as it's going down, are there air bubbles where the next stop is, where there's more volume. If we have this same volume chart, but then it has indications of how the volume was broken down, right? So one, we could take a look at the individual trades, put them into more categorize them even down further, classify them. So here we looked at the trades themselves to classify them. Does this look like something where it was a very large trade, part of a very large trade, or some parts of small trades? And we put them into 4 different buckets where we say these are the very small retail trades, maybe regular retail, I'm highlighting here in red, then more professional size trades, and then institutional, right? So you could see here where the breakdown is, and in SPY looks like the majority of the trades based on those green bar indicators is coming from institutional size trades, which is not surprising because SPY, it's S&P 500 ETF, so that's probably pretty normal. You see bigger, you get more liquidity and bigger size trades. Going to this next graph here, this is breaking down the volume based on how much of that volume traded on the public exchanges or lit exchanges versus dark pools, which are privately operated exchanges, such as Citadels or Goldman Sachs, Citigroups, all those. And here, just looking at by the yellow versus blue indicators, the majority of the volume is transacted on the public exchanges, lit exchanges. All right, so this gives you an overall view. What is the point of this? Well, here we see where the volume is the greatest around what prices, right? We see the distribution of the trader cohort or trade size, and we also see where the liquidity is or where the transactions are occurring. Are they happening in a dark pool or the lit exchanges? So we're painting ourselves an overall picture of how the stock trades, who might be doing what. Okay, so this is a quick view of a pre-market. I'm going to come over here.
Hey, D?
Yeah.
Michael's asking, was the pre-market based on the 13th or today's date? The futures pictures today looks very different between then and now.
The futures, but
I'm sure he's looking at stock futures or something. But the pre-market prices are just today's prices with a 15-minute delay, right? I mean, that's
exactly. So this isn't right, and it's not a future, right? This is a ETF. But yeah, so this is a 15-minute delay. This isn't, live. You'd have to refresh it, but this is today's pre-market, right? So these are, if we looked at the VWAP
on a 15-minute delay.
On a 15-minute delay, exactly. So here, right, these are minute by minute. So you could see here, 8:58, right? What happened that minute? Well, these are the number of trades in SPY, right? In the beginning to the end of 8:58. This is the total volume. This is the VWAP price, 433.82. This is the change from the previous VWAP, the high, low, and the last bid and offer at the end of that minute. So this is, you could see minute by minute trades for today. Okay, so I don't know. So the future could be moving, right? Because it's constantly moving. It could be in a different spot right now, but this is as of 8:58. Okay. Yep. Uh, trading out. Let's do this. So when we look at intraday, right? When we look at intraday trading, so why do we, even analyze like what's going on intraday? And when we look at, right, data, we want to see what's underneath the surface. Or we have 66 million shares traded, right? Well, that's the total volume, but then we could go and parse that data and see, well, what do we think is happening within there that could be interesting or give us more insights and so forth. And just like I showed you, we could look at the VWAP charts, and just break down the volume in this way, which we just talked about. And we could take the VWAP and go right down to the minute. And a couple things here, up here, the volume bursts. These are shown where there are large volume bursts in a minute, something that's unusual for in that time of day, a big spike for whatever reason in the volume, right? And then we go and take a look at that. Well, what do we think happened in that minute? So we clocked yesterday in SPY, there are three buy bursts, right? For a total dollar value. So 3 buy bursts if we just bucket them in minutes, right? So this is based on minute by minute. So if we bucket the volume and the trades into minutes, we saw 3 buy bursts versus 4 sell bursts. And here are the times of the buy burst. So if you click on it, right? If you click on it, it'll highlight it here, and then you could see here there's the buy burst. So we'll talk about that. If we took all the buy bursts on the day, the 3, and summed up the dollar value, right? Like in that minute, what was the total dollar value traded in the stock? That's $769 million worth of stock. And if we took the volume weighted average price, it was $435.60. Okay. If we wanted to measure the liquidity, a little bit of the liquidity, how much did that buy burst impact, the price? What was the price impact of that buy burst? Did it come in and, move it up $1, move it up $2, or barely moved it a penny? So we want to see what is the price impact of the buy burst. So on average, it was a positive 20 cents, right? So it wasn't anything like that spectacular, I would say. It moved 20 cents on average. So we could how do we look at that? If we go back here at the buy burst, here's one right here. So we could see here that near the end of the day, there's for this time period, right at 3:55, we calculate these right up to the close differently, but right here for this time period, this was this was a big one that we clocked. And we could see here that we traded 662,000 shares. We got it at a buy burst, and the impact from the previous VWAP price was 11 cents. Okay. And it looks like maybe this was, actually those 3 could have been, all part of one, but the bulk of it traded right there. Here is buy burst. Again, we clocked it as a big one. And you can see here from here to here, there's 13-cent uptick. So the price impact wasn't that great. There could have been a lot of liquidity in the market there. But that's what it looks like to us, to go back, kind of get a sense of how things are trading. Sell bursts, we got 4 of them. they exceeded the buy burst, it looks like, on the day. $826 million worth. VWAP price 134.48. And just keep in mind, I am looking at SPY. So these in SPY, lots of things are going on, right? People are using it for hedging. It could have been against futures. It could have been against options. I mean, the SPY is a whole S&P 500 ETF is used for many different things. Okay, it's not like an individual stock. You know, it's an ETF that replicates a broad-based index, right? S&P 500. But I'm just using this as an example here, just to kind of go over the data. Sell bursts, what this is. So two of the things, you know, that just notable, we had a little bit more on the sell than on the buy, right? 3 versus 4 looks like dollar wise a little bit more than on the buy side. The VWAP price 134.48, right? So that's where the difference is. Maybe they cleaned up the buyer, and then on the way down, more sellers came in. The liquidity to the downside, right? So this is, remember, what is the price impact? We have 39 cents. So it looks like those sell bursts didn't have as much liquidity, not as much, you know, support as when they came in to buy. So you could see here that it was almost twice as much, right? The fee to get out was, think of it as twice as much almost as the buy. Third, the impact was greater, right? So on the way down, the impact to get out was greater than the impact to get in. So that's one thing noticeable here. So we could maybe take a look at their 254. What would that look like? So you could see here at 254, you know, we clocked a big burst, right? Right here, 489,000 shares, which was in our database that would have been in, you know, higher than usual, something that sticks out. And we could see here that from the previous, right? So we're comparing it to from the previous, it went from, the stock went from 435.15. So this is the VWAP price, to 434.67, down 48 cents. So that's why we clocked it as a sell burst. Looks like, you know, maybe continued a little bit down to the next minute, try to recover it here. But that's, again, one way to start kind of analyzing the intraday data to see what do we think is going on, like what do we think is interesting that's happening within the volume. And that could point to something else. You know, there may have been an options trade there that this is reactive. We could take a look at the options markets around this time. That's very possible, you know, that a very big trade was put up in the options market, and then some of this was hedging a big trade. So we could try to connect it to that. We could see if there are other, it could be a part of a you know, market program trade, like, you know, a sell program where it was part of a much bigger sell order through the market. So those are the things that you'd probably could take a look at, see if you could connect that data. So let me see one more thing. Under here, stocks, we have these volume bursts. So the difference between these volume bursts, you could see here throughout the day, is that this doesn't look by the minute. This looks at transactions that happened very quick. So it's either a block trade or transactions that were the volume bursts were, you know, within milliseconds of each other, right? So very, very big bursts versus milliseconds. So it looks like you could see how it traded throughout the day. On the day, it ended up positive $273 million worth. This in the S&P 500, which looks like, big one right at the end of the day brought it up. And if we come down here, you could kind of see which sectors, receive. So you can see financial sectors, energy sectors, healthcare, received more buy bursts, industrials, technology, more sell bursts yesterday. So you can kind of get a breakdown by sector. And if we want to look at the top individual ones, we see here, NVIDIA had the most sell bursts, $72.5 million worth, STX $69 million worth sell burst. Tesla had the biggest buy burst, $137 million, Bank of America $68 million, Adobe 43, Microsoft. So here is a breakdown of the top 10 on the day. All right, so these are looking at not the full minute, but the individual trades, or if we could connect the individual trades. I mean, we're right up at 9:30. Will, I guess we don't have any questions. I'm going to leave it there.
We did have a question from Rob, but maybe we'll look at it tomorrow. He's just wanted to maybe discuss, because it's the start of earnings season, that today's opportunities underneath the earnings tab.
Yep.
Why don't we just do that tomorrow? Because we've only got a couple minutes. It would make for a good discussion. I will send that question over to you, D. Great job, buddy.
All right. Great, everyone. Thanks for joining. Stay safe out there. Have a great trading.
Whoa. I'm sorry about this. Jackie came into the Zoom. It didn't pop up on my screen. Okay. So maybe, Jackie, we could get you tomorrow too. Just let me know. I don't see things that pop up on the Zoom because I'm watching the YouTube. So I didn't see that you had come over to the Zoom. I apologize about that. So we'll try to get Jackie and hit Rob's question tomorrow. How about that?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks,
awesome,
everyone, for joining. Yeah, let's take the questions tomorrow. Stay safe out there, everyone. Have a great trading day. Hope to see you guys tomorrow.
Trade in peace, chameleons. Everyone have a great day. Great job.